Welcome to our prediction video for Week 5 of the NFL season. We have included both the over-under and point spread data, as well as our projected score for every game. This week marks the beginning of this season's bye weeks, so there are only 14 games on the schedule. The 4 teams with byes this week are the Lions, Chargers, Eagles, and Titans. Week 5 kicks off with Baker Mayfield leading the Buccaneers into Atlanta to face Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. The line for this game currently has the over-under sitting at 43.5, with the Falcons giving up 1.5 points on the spread. In our eyes, this game is one of the more difficult projections of Week 5. We keep waiting for the Falcons' offense to find its rhythm, but they have been wildly inconsistent through the first month of the season. Tampa Bay had one bad day against the Broncos, but has played solid team football otherwise. As long as Baker Mayfield takes what the Falcons' defense gives him and doesn't get too aggressive against Atlanta's safeties, we believe Tampa Bay should come out on top. Our projection has the Buccaneers winning by a score of 27-24. Sunday's first game has one of the league's hottest teams, the undefeated Vikings, hosting the New York Jets, who are currently sitting at 2-2. The over-under on this game is sitting at 40.5, with the Vikings giving up 2.5 points on the spread. The Jets may have a .500 record, but wins against 2 of the worst teams in the league and losses that didn't offer much to be excited about, means there is plenty of reason for concern. When you combine that with how well Minnesota has played in the first month of the season, we are projecting a 27-17 Vikings victory. Next, we have Andy Dalton leading the Panthers into Chicago to face his former team, the Bears. Oddsmakers have the over-under set at 40.5, with the Bears giving up 4 points on the spread. The Panthers have been drastically improved since they benched Bryce Young and handed the reins to Dalton, but Chicago's defense has played much better than the others that Dalton has faced this season. Our projection has Chicago getting a 20-16 victory at home. The next game on the schedule has the Cincinnati Bengals hosting their division rival, the Baltimore Ravens. The line on this game has the over-under set at 49.5, with the Ravens sitting as a 2.5 point favorite. Divisional games can be difficult to project, because teams that seem to be clearly outmatched have that extra motivation against their rivals, especially in the AFC North. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has played extremely well through the first 4 games. However, the Bengals defense finds itself in the bottom 7 of the league in both points allowed and rushing yards allowed. That doesn't inspire much confidence when they are preparing to face the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. We're projecting the Ravens to win with a convincing 30-20 victory. Next up, we have a matchup of 1 and 3 teams, with the Patriots hosting the Dolphins. The line on this game has the over-under set at 36.5, with the Patriots listed as a slim 1 point favorite. Most people saw the Patriots as a rebuild coming into the season, so their record isn't a surprise, but there were higher expectations for the Dolphins. Injuries to every level of their offense, especially quarterback, have completely derailed what was once a potent scoring attack. That has us projecting the Patriots to win with a final score of 17-13. The next game on the schedule has the Browns headed to Washington to face Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Oddsmakers have the over-under on this game set at 43.5, with the Commanders as a 3-point favorite at home. The Browns' defense has been one of the most feared in the league over the past few seasons, but the absence of Nick Chubb in the rushing attack and a bottom 5 passing attack on the offensive side of the ball has been too much for the defense to overcome. We like the Commanders in this game, projecting them to win with a score of 24-20. Next, we have the Colts visiting the Jaguars, who are still looking for their first win of the season. The line on this game has the over-under set at 46.5, with the Jaguars listed as a 3-point favorite at home. Uncertainty regarding the Colts' quarterback situation for the game makes this a tricky projection. Anthony Richardson is listed as questionable, so we will base our projection on him playing, but that isn't necessarily a good thing. If Richardson is the quarterback, our projection has the Jaguars getting their first victory with a 17-13 win. If Richardson is unable to play, our projection actually has the Colts picking up a 20-17 victory with Joe Flacco under center. The next game we are looking at has the potential to be the game of the week, with the Bills visiting the Texans. Both teams came into the season with high expectations and are currently sitting at 3-1 after the first month. The over-under on this game is currently sitting at 47.5, with the Bills being a 1-point favorite. In addition to these two teams seeming to be pretty evenly matched, this game comes with the additional storyline of Stefon Diggs facing his former team. Another significant factor will be the recent suspension of Bills edge rusher Von Miller, who has accounted for 25% of the team's sacks this season. We believe the extra motivation for Diggs and the absence of Miller ends up giving the advantage to Houston, who we have projected coming away with a 27-20 victory. Sunday's second batch of games begins with the Raiders visiting their bitter rivals, the Denver Broncos. Oddsmakers have the over-under set at 35.5, with the Broncos being a 2.5-point favorite. The Broncos come into this game with what has been a very impressive defensive start to the season, having allowed over 20 points only in their first game of the year. Their defense is currently ranked second in the league in yards allowed, and third in points allowed. We expect their defense to help carry Bo Nix and the offense to another win, projecting a 17-13 Broncos victory. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing so that you don't miss future content from NFL Direct. Next, we have the Cardinals traveling to San Francisco to face the 49ers in an NFC West matchup. The over-under on this game has been set at 49.5, with the 49ers being heavily favored, giving up 7.5 points on the spread. Despite never having been at full health this season, the 49ers' superior depth of talent on the roster has allowed them to remain firmly in the running for the division. We expect that trend to continue here, projecting the 49ers to pick up a 30-20 home victory over the Cardinals. The next game on our list has Jordan Love and the Packers visiting Matthew Stafford's Rams in Los Angeles. The over-under has been set at 48.5 and the Packers are giving up 3 points on the spread. Jordan Love's return to action didn't start well last week, but he eventually found his rhythm and made things very interesting against the undefeated Vikings. We're expecting the Packers offense to get things rolling more quickly against the Rams defense, which is currently giving up the second most points in the league. Our projection has the Packers coming away with a 27-16 victory. The next game on the schedule has the Seahawks hosting the New York Giants. The over-under is set at 43.5, with the Seahawks giving up 6.5 points on the spread. Seattle is clearly the better team here, with their only loss coming last week in Detroit. Getting to host the lowly Giants should be exactly what the Seahawks need to get back on track after suffering their first loss of the season. We have Seattle winning with a final score of 27-16. Sunday's final game has Dak Prescott and the Cowboys facing the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The over-under has been set at 44.5, with the Steelers being 2.5-point favorites. The Steelers suffered their first loss of the season last week, giving up 27 points to the Colts and backup quarterback Joe Flacco. We're expecting the Steelers defense to come into this home game with a little extra fire, looking to redeem themselves after last week's disappointing performance. Our projection has the Steelers coming away with a 24-17 victory. Monday Night Football has Patrick Mahomes and the undefeated Chiefs hosting the New Orleans Saints. The over-under on this game is set at 43.5, with the Chiefs being 5.5-point favorites at home. The Saints were one of the hottest teams in the first 2 weeks of the season, but they have fallen flat the past 2 weeks. We don't see that changing this week against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Our projection has the Chiefs remaining undefeated with a 20-13 victory over the Saints. For those of you that are interested, here is how we performed with last week's projections. And here is our record for the first 4 weeks of the season.